NBA Countdown, presented by Mountain Dew.
Hello and welcome back to NBA Countdown. Just like that, we're back in Staples Center because the comeback clips, they got a lot of comeback in them. They've been down 0-2 three times so far this playoffs, and yet they continue to force game sixes, and we are waiting to see if they can force a game seven. Maria Taylor alongside Adrian Wojnarowski. Me and Jalen Rose look like we're going to prom.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Got our matching colors.
Let's get it.
And you know what, Jay? Well, I'm not hating on you because you said the Clippers were going to win game five.
Oh, I get love.
Oh, you get a little
I get love today. I needed that. I needed that, MT.
Okay, so that's the reason why we're here back in Staples Center, but obviously we keep our eyes on the Eastern Conference Finals as well. The Hawks obviously tying up that series 2-2, but all eyes were on the Bucks when Giannis Antetokounmpo went out. About 7 minutes left in the third quarter. Woj, we saw he hyperextended that knee, but what is the latest and what are you hearing about the two-time MVP?
Well, Giannis Antetokounmpo had an MRI, had imaging back in Milwaukee today, and it was about the best possible news that the Bucks could expect or hope for. No structural damage to that left knee, no ligament damage, and so right now the question remains, how soon can Giannis Antetokounmpo get back into this series, if at all? It is unlikely he's back for Game 5 tomorrow, but this is a player who has shown a tremendous capacity to come back quickly from injury. And again, this is a player last night when Giannis suffered that injury, he came back out wanting to check into the game. The Bucks weren't going to let him do that, but that's certainly his mentality, and obviously he wants to get back for a chance here. He's 2 wins away from the NBA Finals.
Yeah, listen, the entire NBA world was watching that game, and seeing Giannis go down was obviously hard. Prayers go out to him and hopefully a fast recovery. But now Malika Andrews has traveled to Milwaukee, and she has the latest on the Bucks. Let's check in.
Maria, as Woj noted, Giannis Antetokounmpo has not officially been ruled out of Game 5 on Thursday, but given the swelling in his knee, I'm hearing that it would be a little bit surprising to see him out on the floor. But given how scary it was to watch him go down in the moment, Mike Budenholzer said that this was the best possible news that the Bucks could have gotten. And if Giannis is unable to go, look for a player like Bobby Portis to step up and even start potentially to give them a little bit more offensive production like he's been doing all series long, and also some energy and spark. He's been playing incredibly well here in Pfizer Forum against the Atlanta Hawks. And speaking of the Hawks, Trae Young is officially listed as questionable for Game 5 with that right foot injury. This continues to be about mobility and pain tolerance. So he is here in Milwaukee and continues to get treatment in the hopes that he's going to be able to return at some point in this series. Back to you in LA.
All right, appreciate it, Malika. Now listen, the Bucks, they've been rolling so far this postseason when Holiday, Middleton, and Giannis are all on the floor. They've been outscoring their opponents by over 12 points per 100 possessions. However, when Giannis is off the court, their defensive rating increases by 13 points. And obviously, thankful that Giannis has no structural damage, and that's good news coming there. But let's go to the Hawks side because, again, as Malika reported, Trae Young was out. We don't know if we're going to see him in the next game, but they still managed to lead the entire game. Giannis was in when the Hawks were up. They jumped out to a 15-5 lead, and although when he went out, they outscored the Bucks 25-10, but they were kind of in control of this one, Jalen.
You heard her be professional and from Atlanta. Well, the Hawks was winning when Giannis went out. You heard that, right?
I'm trying to be respectful.
So much so that they held Giannis to 0 points in the first quarter, held the Bucks to only 16 points in the second quarter, and how about Lou Willville and Bogey outscored Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton?
Yeah.
If that's going to happen and you're Atlanta, you get the victory. Nate McMillan did a terrific job making sure this team was prepared to play without Trae Young. Even Cam Reddish came in, gave him some quality defense, quality minutes. These Atlanta Hawks look confident.
I never thought I would say this. The Atlanta Hawks can win a world championship.
Say it again.
The Atlanta Hawks can win a world championship. And we have to start, that is realistic.
Yes.
This team without Trae Young, even at that juncture, Cam Reddish coming off the bench defensively, the way he played in this ball game, the way Bogey knocked down threes. Look, Nate McMillan has done a phenomenal job, and it comes back to Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde for the Milwaukee Bucks. And PJ Tucker came out and said it, hey, we just thought we were going to beat them because they didn't have Trae Young. That's something that you always worry about with the Bucks, that light switch off, light switch on mentality.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned Nate McMillan and the impact he's had on this Hawks team. The knock on him, going back to his days coaching in Portland, in Indiana, 9 straight playoff losses coming into this postseason. could he make adjustments as a head coach in the playoffs? And that conversation is over. He has shown himself to be an elite coach in this series, in these playoffs, and this is a head coach who now goes from interim status to perhaps you're looking at a 5-year big money deal to return as the Atlanta Hawks head coach next season.
Yeah, you're talking about a coach that had to deal with the Hawks team starting 14-20, jump in as the interim head coach. That happened on March 1st. Add in Lou Will. Remember, he showed up around the trade deadline at the end of March. So, you don't know what you have, and he's been able to make it work for sure. But if both of these teams are missing their stars, no Trae Young and no Giannis next game, who do you trust more? Which supporting staff do you trust more?
I just don't know what Bucks team I'm going to get. And there's been so much talk about, Chris Middleton being a superstar. I think Chris Middleton is a big time player. And this is an opportunity for him in the playoffs. We've seen Kevin Durant do it. We've seen LeBron James have to do it. People criticize Jokic when he had no Jamal Murray. Now we're going to see a Bucks team without Giannis, and it's time for Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday, part of that big three, the 2 out of 3, to step up in a big way.
Well, tonight the Bucks have the advantage. To me, going back home, their role players are going to play a lot better. A guy like Bobby Portis is going to play tough. He's going to get some buckets, and he's going to be confident playing in front of the home fans. They're going to need to get more out of Brook Lopez, who was a single-digit scorer in the previous game. I think you go deeper into the roster without Giannis, they're going to play with a sense of urgency in front of their home fans.
Bobby Portis has never started a playoff game in his career, but he's been playing good minutes for the Bucks too.
He has, and the Bucks, they brought in Bobby Portis because they felt like they had to have just some more versatility offensively in the postseason. That too often in recent years, it was all Giannis, all Chris Middleton, and they needed just some more varied offensive weapons. Bobby Portis has been outstanding for them this year. This is a player who started with the Bulls, started with the Knicks. He can take on a bigger role.
But also, without Trae Young, right, Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton can't be getting outscored by Lou Willville and Bogey.
Exactly.
Yeah. That just can't happen no matter where they're playing if the Bucks plan on winning.
Right, and
they allowed the Hawks to shoot 51% from the field. I mean, it comes down to defensively, too, draw a line in the sand.
Yeah, and we saw Jrue Holiday struggle offensively when he was guarding Trae Young. And now if Trae Young doesn't play in Game 5, I think it opens up the floor a little more for Jrue Holiday, who certainly, is capable of putting up, all-star level offensive numbers as well.
All right, well, we'll see whether or not Trae Young and Giannis will be able to go. Obviously, Clint Capella also dealing with some eye inflammation.
Over the backboard!
But can I also just say, the only championship the Hawks have won was in 1958. They were with St. Louis, and if they win one this year, I'm not going to be professional. I'm just going to be real honest about that, okay?
A-town
down.
You can gloat as much as you want to.
There you go. But the Eastern Conference Finals Game 5 is coming your way tomorrow. Meanwhile, we are waiting for the Western Conference Finals Game 6 to start. Devin Booker still looking for one of those really big performances like we saw in Game 1. Maybe he'll have another one here in Game 6.
Speaking of big games, I know Lou was celebrating last night, doing some charity work, giving back to the community.
Oh, geez.
And I love it so very much.
Oh, jeez.
This has to be a Devin Booker game. He got to get going, Jay Will, at some point. Got to get that straight jacket off of him.
Always got to get back to the community, Jay Rose.
And that's what it's all about. Coming up on NBA Countdown, in a series with all-stars, audacious shooters, pests, and giants, the biggest matchup between the Suns and the Clippers might not actually be between